Today we're going to go over a cookbook on how to create a PDF file from a list, data in a list, and store it in OneDrive. This is a great little feature that we have. This is an actual cookbook, so use this as a reference. Mark this video as a reference and come back to it frequently when you have to do this type of project. But let's go ahead and jump right into the details of how to build a PDF file and store that in OneDrive from data within a list. So stay tuned. Okay, so here I'm working an example here, and you can see my text here. So pause the video if I'm going too fast, and you can stop and read what I'm saying here. But this is pretty straightforward. I have this as a manual flow right now, but this could easily be a scheduled flow or whatever you want. See other videos on how to change this within an existing flow, or when you start, just do it as a scheduled flow. First thing we want to do is gather the items within the list. So we want to identify the list. So you just click on the down arrow there and go to the site. And then you want to select the list name. Okay, so I've done that. You can see that highlighted. And then I'm going to order it by organization in an ascending mode. DESC is descending, by the way. So if you want to do descending, this is a column name, remember. And I just put a top count of 600. So because when I originally test, Power Automate will bark at you if you don't have a number in here. So if you don't have something in here, so I just put it in there as a standard. You don't necessarily have to have a top count if you don't want. This is, by the way, the amount of records that get loaded into memory. Okay, so we get all the items. Okay, so we're getting all the items from the list. Now we have the list. Now we're going to need to create an HTML table and compose the HTML table into HTML format. So first thing we need to do here is create the HTML table. And that's the one that you want to look for right there, create the HTML table. And then we're going to use the get values, the get items. So we're taking data that we built here, and we're putting it right there. So when you see the create HTML table, you're going to select value that's equal to get items from list. And you'll see it in your drop down. It's pretty straightforward. Then you're just going to go ahead and name these out. This is what the header is going to look like. And then this is within the actual list. So remember, you click like right there, and then you just look for calling, for example, find it from the get items, and you're good to go. Okay. Next thing you need to do here is compose the HTML code. And this is a compose. So look up, click on the plus sign, add, and then you want to look up compose. HTML code is something I added in there. Okay. And I'm going to go through this. So pause the video if you need the code itself. So there it is. It's very simple, but you could put any HTML code. So you'd start here at style, by the way. And I'll go down to the next screen. Okay. And again, pause if you need to just copy this, type it out yourself. And then that's it. And then don't forget to close with the style at the bottom, remember, because you start with the style at the top. Okay, so that's the HTML code that you need to put inside of this compose. So it's right here. So you're just going to put it in as your input. Notice here, style, table, border, and that's the first ones, right? Style, table, border. Okay, that's easy enough. Now we're going to need to convert the HTML to a PDF file. So we've gone ahead, we've reviewed these above, create the HTML table and create the HTML, compose the HTML table. And now we're going to create the HTML file. That's kind of our first step. We need to create the HTML file. Now, look at the arrows here. The arrows are all telling here and tell us exactly what we need to know. So here, this is create file. So the one you're going to look for is create file. I renamed it to create HTML file just because that's the way I roll. So I want to know more about what it is. So then the outputs here, notice here I put outputs are from compose HTML code here and create HTML table here. And those are the outputs. And I've drawn some lines. Okay. So when you click on this, you're going to see the outputs in your little list over to the right. You're going to click on outputs, the first one and the second one. Okay. Now here, this format, date, and time, this is format, date, and time, open parenthesis. It's kind of covered by the arrow there. UTC now, open close parenthesis, little little quote, date, month, year, little quote, close parenthesis. That's the format date. So basically I'm going to take the current date that the report is run and attach it to the title of the report. And I can put any variable, any data that I want in there. And I'm creating this as an HTML file. Okay. Now I'm going to go back into that same path that I used to create this HTML file, and I'm going to reference it there. And so when you click on this, this is the name of the added control. So convert HTML file to PDF. And the path is from the create HTML file. So the path, you're going to click on here, and you're going to look for path, and it's going to be under create HTML file. And you're going to just drop that in there, and the target's going to be a PDF. Okay. Now that we've gone ahead, and that's basically created the PDF file at this point of the game. Okay. So we've already created the PDF file. Now, again, this is convert HTML, right? We have it closed just so you can see where this data is coming from. And here you can see that we've gone ahead and pushed it into this folder. And we're just clicking on this folder and saying root folder, and then we find this folder. Okay. So easy enough. And then this is a create file control. So create file, that's what this is. But I've renamed it to create PDF file from HTML file, because that's basically what we've done here. We've created an HTML file here. And this, you can look out on the site and you'll see the HTML file. And then we've converted the HTML into a PDF. And then now we're creating the PDF from the HTML file that we created here. Okay. And so we're just going to use file name and body. So we just want to copy that. Again, we're going to click right here in the open space. We're going to find file name, and we're going to make sure it falls under this convert HTML file to PDF. That's what you're going to see there. Same thing with the body. And then this, and then again, we're going to click on there, root, and you're going to find the directory. This is the final result. So what this will do is every single day when you run this script, it's going to create a PDF file and HTML file. And if you run it again on a day, it's going to replace these two items. Okay, so it's going to copy over. Now, some people add to this and they say, hey, I want to delete the HTML file that's in there. I kind of like the HTML file because some people prefer to view it in that way, so you can do that. So why would you use this type of script? Well, let's say that you're creating a list and you want an archive of all of that information. So you can create archives and different sets of data, but it's a little difficult sometimes to do that depending on your list. This is a really, really simple way to do this. And then you just give people the directory here and they can always pull up those past reports. And that's really golden in this. So this becomes your archive, but you're archiving it in a PDF file, and you're using your list here of data as your active of what you're working on. So for me, in this example, this is an exercise that occurs every 3 months. So once this is done, although it's not seen on here, what the rest of these controls are is I go through and I delete everything in that list so that when the new time comes around to do the callings report, now people are entering new data in 2 months, let's say, and then they can always go back to this one as a reference.